I'm not surprised, motherfuckers.
What is up, ladies and gentlemen? Welcome back. Once again, I'm Josh Evanoff. As always, welcome by the one and only man of the hour, Too Sweet. Hey. Look, guys, we got a lot of stuff to talk about this week. UFC Vegas, Bellator 300, Canelo, Charlo, those are a bunch of other news. As always, we're brought to you by two fantastic sponsors of the show, Rogue Energy and ELYXR. Code Soundoff for both. Rogue Energy keeps me fueled up, keeps me going throughout my day. There was no UFC, but you know what I did? I went to a Royals game, decided to go ahead and chill. You know, it was a late one, but you know what got me through the day, got me through that experience? Rogue Energy. However, whenever I want to chill out, whenever I want to have a fun time, I go ahead and take ELYXR because they have fantastic Delta 8, 9, and 10 products. You can get them for 10% off with code SOUNDOFF at checkout. Again, code SOUNDOFF for both, RogueEnergy.com and ELYXR.com. No UFC to recap. No to recap. We will have some PFL show, as well as Canelo, but no major MMA to recap. I'm going to go ahead and hit it off with a preview because UFC Vegas 80 is going down this Saturday night for the UFC Apex in Las Vegas, Nevada. In the main event, we got the return of ranked lightweight prospect Grant Dawson. Angel, you've been on this kid, been high on him for a very long time. 29 years young. Been undefeated since joining the UFC in 2017 through the Contender Series, 21-1, and set for arguably the biggest test of his career. Very arguable though. I think he's had some tougher fights than this, but whatever. He's going to take on King Bobby Green, riding a two-fight unbeaten streak. Last defeated Tony Ferguson in July, UFC 291. That was a submission win. Performance of the night as well. He would now look to upset the young Grant Dawson and make his way back into the rankings. Look, man, I think you and I have talked about this one. This fight could be a lot of fun. However, it's more likely going to be a lopsided win for the young prospect. Go ahead and give me your preview. What do you think about this main event?
I'm excited, man. It's nice seeing it's kind of weird, you don't really think about it anymore. And that is with the former featherweight, now lightweight. Obviously, at one point, was formerly known as Glory, no longer called Glory. Now the American Top Team. It's nice to see that he's reached these kind of heights and kind of where he's at now ranked as the lightweight, young, perfect time, prime of his career. Just perfect situation right now, What is it to say? Fighting isn't just about being good at fighting, but it's all about timing and being at the right place at the right time, too. I'd say he's been pretty fortunate in that department as well. Because the division's kind of here soon, not that far from going to be in this transitional stage of getting rid of some of these older vets that have kind of been around, the Justin Gaethjes, the Dustin Poiriers, the Beneil Dariush's, obviously down the Tony Ferguson's, the Conor McGregor's, so on and so forth. It's kind of nice that he'll be able to kind of just step right in. And, like you said, taking on Evan and Bobby Green, who's still hyper competitive even at his older age. Obviously, we know him because of that unique stance, that kind of style he has on the feet with the low hands, but always they're available for the takedown, just ready to defend it. But, I think he'll give Grant some issues. Obviously, I think the thing is Grant's going to have trouble getting that takedown, I think, early on maybe, or maybe not. Maybe he'll be able to get it quick, but the thing is, Bobby Green's hands are always going to be available at any point, and Grant's hands have, in my opinion, still haven't developed very far, and I think they still need to work. They've gotten him this far, but with a game opponent like Bobby Green, I think you might have trouble. But with that being said, Josh, I still think Grant Dawson will get it done Saturday night against Bobby Green. I think it could be a boring, maybe not so fun decision, but he could get a finish, maybe a submission on the ground. But I think Bobby Green has developed his jiu-jitsu now pretty well, and I think that's going to be very hard to do. So see what happens.
We will see what happens. And yeah, I'm mostly on the same page with you. I mean, look, I think on the feet, like you said, Grant Dawson can use some more seasoning. You know what I mean? He can use some more development. And the reality is that a fight like this is probably one of the better things to happen. I mean, I feel like Bobby Green's going to test him on the feet. Whatever deficiencies he has, Bobby Green is going to find them. Admittedly, I think the fight won't stay on the feet long. However long it will be, I expect Bobby to have some success. But, same page. I mean, I think this is a setup fight, essentially, for Grant Dawson. They want to put a big spotlight on him. They think he's the real deal. He is the real deal, just to be clear. But they know that this is a big spotlight. Bobby Green's a big name. Just came off a win over, obviously, Tony, who, we kind of know the story there. Lost 6 fights in a row, and that was his 6th. And he hasn't looked very impressive, and he even dropped Bobby. But at the same time, it was a big fight. He had a lot of eyeballs in him in that one. So trying to go ahead and take some of that momentum for Bobby and transfer it over to Grant. It's pretty clear what the Usyk is trying to do here, but yeah, man, I think it's going to work out well for him. I think Grant Dawson's the real deal, Holyfield, and I think he's going to go ahead and get a massive win on Saturday. Admittedly, you and I were talking about this in the green room, dude. I don't think there's a whole lot to say about the main event. I also don't know what there is to say about the rest of the card in some of these fights, especially this co-main event. We know that Dana likes Joe Pyfer. We know that they view him as a potential middleweight prospect, and he has had some big wins, obviously Gerald Meerschaert being the biggest one. He will now take on Abdul Razak Al Hassan. We know the story there. One of the hardest hitters in the UFC. No matter, if you think you're going to have an easy fight against this guy, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter what your style is, how young you are, old you are. You better pack a fucking lunch, all right? So, we'll see if Joe Pyfer can go ahead and get the win here, man. Obviously, Al Hassan coming off a win over Claudio Rodero in January. What do you think about this one? Admittedly, I'm kind of torn on this one. I don't think it's going to last long no matter what, though.
Oh, no, I mean, it's going to end at a finish.
Yeah.
I mean, like you said, they're kind of setting him up here, kind of similar to the main event, right? They got an older vet who's very dangerous still, but it's giving the younger kind of up and coming guy a good opportunity to still showcase his skills and maybe fill in some holes or maybe kind of address those in this fight. Because, I mean, Josh, I don't know if I said this in the room, but Abdul Razak Al Hassan is 38, a fresh 38 at that, but still, I mean, he's gotten up in their age. He has a decent bit of miles. He was away from the game for a bit, suffered a few losses recently, bounced back with 2 wins in recent time. He did have that split against Joaquin Buckley recently, but nevertheless, he's still powering those hands that anything could happen. But I'm still going to go Joe Pyfer in this, Josh. I mean, he's obviously UFC sees something. I think he's good. He obviously has ground capabilities as well. We've seen that because we've seen him at the street grappling tournament. He took on Gerald Meerschaert, got the decision over him, which that's actually very impressive because it was just straight grappling. Mm-hmm. So it's not like Gerald Meerschaert had any excuses there,
Yeah. Yeah, man, and like you said, they're kind of setting him up here. I mean, it's very clear what the UFC is trying to do in the main and co-main, and I get it, dude. Because just to be clear, I mean, Joe Pyfer does have a lot of potential, and I'm expecting him to probably get the win here. I think Al Hassan hits very, very hard. If Joe Pyfer's not on his A game, he's going to get finished. I expect that he's going to be, though. I mean, this is the biggest spotlight that he's going to have on him so far, I guess I should say. And I think he's going to make the most of it. I expect him to go out there and get a big win. Al Hassan is 38. I think if they would have ran this, I mean, we've talked about this before, but he got robbed of years of his prime, and I think if this fight would have happened a couple years ago, it would have been different. But obviously it's not. So I'm going to take Joe Pyfer to get the win. There's a reason why they are pushing him so highly. Why Dana, talks a lot about him. They think he's the real deal, and big potential to get a win here. Looking on down the card, man, I will say that the prelims leave a bit to be desired. But I will say this main card is actually very, very solid, man. Which fights do you most want to talk about on it?
Oh man, let me take a quick look here. I mean, I think for me, Drew Dober, Ricky Glenn, right? I mean, that has to be at 152 great 155ers. I think they're both quite literally the same age. Funny enough, I think they're both 34. Let's see if he can get it done this time, Josh. If you know the meme, you know the meme. I'm not going to say it. If you know the meme, you know the meme. That's all I'm going to say. I'm not going to put it out there.
Yeah, man, that's a banger. That's a banger. Yeah, man. I mean, look, like you've been said, that's gonna be a fun one. Obviously, Alexander Hernandez, Bill Alguio is gonna be a banger for however long that one lasts. Let's see if Bill Alguio shits on Kansas City again.
Could you imagine?
Hey, you know what? Honestly, if he did it again, that's when I would become a real fan.
At least he'd be doubling down on it, right?
Exactly. But it's all right. We'll just beat Philly in the Super Bowl again, and he'll probably complain about it. And then also on the main card, Alex Morono, Joaquin Buckley. Dude, Alex Morono may look like a bag of milk, but he comes to bang. And like these guys, polar opposite body types. But this is going to be a fun, very intense fight, man. Both these guys pack a lot of power. So I'm very excited to see that one. Prelims, dude, what fights do you most want to talk about coming out of there? I mean, there are a couple of big names. Obviously, Karolina Kowalkiewicz is going to be back, but in terms of the prelims specifically. Yeah.
So that's the big one, especially since, at one point we were talking about her potentially being cut. She was on, a 4 or 5 fight losing streak. And yep. I thought that was the end of it. I thought Jessica Penne had taken her out with the armbar, but she got another shot against Felice Herring, and then she bounces back with 2 more wins out of that. She gets here set up against Dana Belvita. Potentially, she could get another one. This is a big career fight for her, especially at this, I guess you could maybe say twilight years of her career. She's 37, going on 38 this year here soon. Actually, I think her birthday's is the 15th. We're filming on the 4th, so in 11 days. So, yeah. If she gets it done, that's heavily impressive after having such a rough 2018 to 2021 run, because it was just going all wrong. And granted, you look at those names: Jessica Andrade, Michelle Waterson, Alexa Grasso, who's champ, Yan Xiaonan, title challenger here soon, Jessica Penne, vet. It's nothing to be ashamed of by any means, but it looked very bad at the time.
Mm-hmm. No, you're not wrong. And like you said, this is a big one for her. She was very close to getting cut. I think they could have cut her and nobody would have batted an eye. It was 5 fights, and a lot of those weren't even very competitive either. The Yan Xiaonan one, Jessica Andrade fight specifically, weren't even competitive. And she's won 3 in a row. You really do love to see it, dude. You really love to see it. And she's taking, hey, look, I love me some Diana Belvita. I like her. I think she's some good striking. I think she's sweet, She's funny. If you see some of the interviews she's done, she's a good personality, I guess is the term for it. I don't think. I'm probably going to pick Karolina to win this fight, dude. I think she's a very good chance of going, winning her 4th fight in a row. But anyways, man. In terms of the rest of the prelims, you got the return of Vanessa Diamopoulos against Kanako Murata. That should be a fun one. Murata still has potential, in my opinion. Nate Maness coming back should be fun. Montana De La Rosa versus JJ Aldridge should be a little fun striking match, Felipe Lins coming back against Ion Cutelaba. Felipe Lins low-key 3-fight winning streak. And then Ion Cutelaba just smashed Tanner the Bulldozer in his fight in UFC Kansas City. So, look, man, what's your excitement level for this card? Go ahead and give me it out of 10. I'm curious. Genuinely curious.
Man, it's like a 6.5. Actually, no, fuck that, a 5.
Yeah, I was like, that sounds way too high, bro.
Hey, at least you like my honesty. I was like, something, fuck that. I'm lying to myself. It's like a 5, 5.5.
Yeah, for real. Fuck it. I'm the same page.
Anywhere between a 5 and 6. It's failing. It's either just passing or failing.
Yeah.
I think on fight night, though, the main card should deliver. The main card is, I think, constructed very well. Those fight styles are very entertaining. I'd say pretty much all the fighters on that card are very good finishers, so I expect a lot of finishes.
Same, and that's basically the only thing that's having me give it I'm gonna give it a 5.1. Fuck it, we're gonna add in the point system. We're gonna really use the full spectrum.
Dude, you're that fucking asshole that's at a restaurant where you don't normally tip and you'll tip like $1.
No, fuck off. That has nothing to do with it. I'm a great tipper.
You know what I mean though?
But I am the IGN reviewer that gives something like 7.3. I am that guy though. It's just
no, but you know what I mean. You ever been somewhere you go or a place you're you don't normally tip at, but they have a tip like Sonic. Sonic has a tip option now, on their app.
Dude, you know what? I'm glad you brought that up because I went and got coffee, and I went and got coffee at Dutch Bros. You ever been to Dutch Bros, Angel?
Once.
Yeah.
They have a few locations now closer in our area.
Yeah, they got a shit ton in Kansas City now. But anyways, yeah, I went to Dutch Bros, and normally I don't walk up, and if you don't walk up and you just order the drive-thru, they don't say anything. But I walked up this time, and they're like, "Well, you want to go ahead and here's the tip thing," and I was like, oh, well, that's not gonna happen, you know? Like, it's just, I don't get fucking tipped for my job, you know? Like, it's just, so I hit no, and I see the guy look down, and he goes, huh. And then it took 25 minutes for my coffees to get done. Yeah, I was like, if I can't go back to that
fuck this guy.
if I go back to that Dutch Bros, I'll end up fighting that guy. So it's like, I know, hey, he thinks he's slick. I knew what he was doing, you know? Like, it's just,
true story. Was your coffee good at least?
It was fine. I mean, if you go to one, it's like, Dutch Bros is like, they're all the same. Starbucks. If you go to one store, it's gonna be the same thing every time, pretty much. It's hard to fuck that up.
All right.
You know? But yeah, I mean, I'm not that guy, Angel. I am not. I'm on principle. I'm standing on business, right? That's what I'm standing.
I mean, at Sonic, they have like a roundup option, so I always round up, which I'm like,
yeah, I actually like rounding up.
I'm like, that's pretty fair for a place you don't normally tip, you know?
It's like, yeah, I got no problem rounding up, because it's like, yeah, I'll definitely, and then, you know what, if I got like $1, if I pay with cash, I'll just give them the fucking cash, because I don't want to take cash out of it. But that new thing that like every business is doing is like, hey, you know, like I could have been born in any other time in history, Angel, and we're born in a time whenever every fucking company wants your money, every single time.
Dude, so years ago, how long would this? Let me think about how long this. This had to have been sometime we were in high school, so anywhere between, maybe 2015 and 2018, because it wasn't 2019. I know that. It probably wasn't even 2018, so somewhere between 2015 and 2017. Me and my parents went to a restaurant. Mm-hmm. And we paid we got everything was done, we got the ticket, and they were going to go to pay, and then they noticed that it was very high, and I was like, what the fuck was it? We kind of started, they looked at everything we got, they added it up, why is it so damn high? And then at the bottom, where it gives you your total, tax, all of that, they saw like appreciation or tip or whatever already added on there.
Yo.
20% or whatever the percentage was. Can't remember. It was high. They're like, dude, they were like, what the fuck? What?
That's wild, dude.
Dude, that was the last time we went there.
That's pretty wild, dude. Yeah, I mean, that's not surprising though, dude. Like every single.
I mean, if it was like fine dining, okay, maybe I can make an argument. Actually, I could say that's more acceptable, right? You're eating at a fine restaurant. Oh yeah.
Yeah, but that's I know that wasn't fine dining though. I know it wasn't, because if it was fine dining, they wouldn't have pulled that shit.
You know what would be better if I was like, it would be better if I'm like, this was Taco Bell, believe it or not. That's good.
Well, that's exactly it, dude. I feel like it's like all these like fucking like McDonald's is charging like fucking crazy like McDonald's ups their prices. Like, hey, you guys aren't fucking like. You gotta know your place, you know? Like, it's just, like, you are not, you guys gotta know your place. You're the fucking cheap place that people go to. Like, I'm not gonna tip you an extra $3. I'm sorry. Like, it's just.
Honestly, I'm just gonna keep it 100, bro.
I'm gonna keep it 100. Like, I'll tip, like, when I go out to actually eat and I sit down, like, I'll tip like 20, I'll tip more than normal, because I know what it's like to be a server, and that shit sucks, you know? Right. Like, that could be really rough, so I'll tip more than normal. But if I roll up and I'm in the drive-thru and you're like, hey, you want to go ahead and hit this fucking screen that once, you're going to pay me an extra $5? It's like, no! Like, what? So, we got really off topic, but, I mean, let's be honest, there's not really a whole lot to really say about UFC Vegas.
Hey, this is our show. We get to talk about whatever the fuck we want.
That is true. It is, and to be fair, there's not really, I'm more excited with the news portion than anything else on this show, but, yeah. No, yeah, I mean, we'll go ahead and move on, man. Because obviously UFC Vegas 80 is going down. There is also another MMA card, and it is Bellator 300, the historic Bellator 300. The company has questions of if not, they will proceed as of now. But look, man, they do have a massive card coming up, and I'm a really big fan of this card, man. You got 3 title fights. Usman Nurmagomedov taking on Brent Primus up at lightweight. Chris Cyborg defending featherweight gold against Kat Zingano, and Liz Carmouche taking on Ilima McFarlane. Heavy on the former UFC fighters, I should also say. So they got a lot of star power on here. Originally, we were supposed to see Ryan Bader in the main event, but Linton Vassell was due to illness, so it is what it is. What do you think about the main event, man? What do you think about this card? What's your excitement level? What do you think, man?
I mean, we're talking about a little bit about it in the green room, man. I was excited decently until I realized holy shit, we lost Ryan Bader than Vincel. And also on top of that, finding out that Bellator 301 is significantly better than Bellator 300.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah, and on top of that, their prelims are pretty weak. They have a couple of names you've seen there, who I think are interesting, like your Bryce Memphis, your Liam McCourts, obviously Davion Franklin, the guy I was bring up, obviously Yags, Mercon, another guy I was bring up and rave about. But overall, like, it's pretty weak. Outside of the main event, I'd say the other two fights, no disrespect to the ladies, they're just alright.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah. And I'll get into it why I think they're just alright when we talk about them.
Yeah, fair enough. I think this card is pretty fun. I will say that outside of the title fights, it's a whole lot of nothing, for the most part. I mean, there's singular guys here and there that I'm excited for, but kind of meh, Look, man, I mean, we'll start off with the main event. In the main event, like I mentioned, Usman Nurmagomedov taking on Brent Primus. Usman obviously went over the story, 17-0, just hasn't even been tested. Coming off a first-round submission win over Benson Henderson. That was his last fight. Taking on Brent Primus, former lightweight champion in his own right, incredible grappler, will likely test him on the mat. Coming off a win over Mansour Barnaway in the opening, in the quarterfinal of the Bellator Lightweight Grand Prix. This is obviously going to be the semifinal. Look, man, what do you think of this one? Obviously, Nurmagomedov, huge favorite. Not really, we're hoping for the best for Brent Primus here. I think maybe he'll be able to test him in spots, but I think Nurmagomedov is the clear favorite here.
Well, look, he got a lifeline, man. I mean, he wasn't originally in this tournament. He's getting an opportunity. We've talked about how kind of it's very disappointing. He's a very interesting guy, but the issue was his career was his activity. He just wasn't active enough. He was also doing he was still doing the jiu-jitsu stuff, still competing, which there's nothing wrong with. Obviously, there's a lot of guys in the UFC who do that as well. Obviously, suffered some losses that kind of slowed down his progress because, you look on here, some of these 155ers are very fucking good. I'd maybe even argue that if they were in the tournament, they'd probably be in the same position he is. The Alexander Shadleys, Islam Mamedovs. You know what I mean? He had up until his Michael Chandler loss. Obviously, he did get the Michael Chandler win in New York, but that's a whole other story we're going to talk about. He had a pretty good run in Bellator. He's a very interesting guy. One of the more, I'd say, unique jiu-jitsu guys that we've ever had. Obviously, all these jiu-jitsu guys kind of come in and they kind of develop in their own way and kind of do their own thing, but he's always stuck to his guns, right? But as far as Usman, you would expect him to still succeed. Obviously, he's kind of developed a lot on the feet. Is very good on the feet, as we've seen. Once he hits the ground, as far as submissions, obviously that's where the danger comes in. I feel as far as like getting to the ground, that's where the issues could be for Primus, because I don't think he's going to be able to just pull guard and Usman's going to get on top of him and he's going to be able to submit him from bottom.
Yeah, same page. I think this is. There could be moments where Primus has little pockets of success. Maybe certain scrambles. And on the feet, I'd be interested because Brent Primus isn't terrible on the feet. He's actually pretty decent on the feet. But some of those low kicks, he's got a heavy right hand. He's not terrible. He's not great either. But so it will be a relatively even striking match, I think. I'm gonna go ahead and take Usman to go ahead and get the win here. And go ahead and advance, whatever that means, however long Bellator is going to be around. Co-main event. Like I said, this was supposed to be like Ryan Bader in the main event, so everything got moved one fight up. Chris Cyborg is back for the first time in over a year. Last time she fought was a win over Arlene Blenko via unanimous decision last April. She will now return to defend her Bellator featherweight world title against Kat Zingano, former UFC veteran Kat Zingano. Won 4 fights in a row in the Bellator cage, including Leah McCourt, Pam Sorensen, a couple of good names in there. Another clear favorite in this fight. I'd say there's actually pretty clear favorites in all of these fights. But what do you think about this one? These gals have had a lot of. They've been talking shit against one another for a while, so a lot of heat going into this one. What do you think?
Okay, let me get into it. My issue with this fight is I feel like it should have happened a long time ago. I feel like it should have happened a lot sooner. It's still good. It's still entertaining. I think it'll be good. I think, obviously they're both older, respectful, to be respectful to them. Kat's 41 now. Chris is 38. It's, this fight's a little overdue, I'd say, but It is what it is. I mean, at the end of the day, I would still expect Chris to get it done as she has every time. Because if Logano comes out here and does something, though, Josh, I will be shocked. Respectfully, but I don't know. I don't see a path to victory here. I mean, it's possible. She has a lot of experience. She's gritty. She's tough. Obviously, she has a win over the GOAT, Amanda Nunes. You know?
Yeah.
I mean, can she get it done against Chris Cyborg? I don't know. I don't see it happening. Even at Cyborg's older age.
Yeah, same page, man. I mean, similar case here. I mean, Kat Zingano is an absolute dog, and I've always said that in Bellator with Chris Cyborg, realistically, the only person who I think can test her and potentially pull off a win is Kat Zingano. She's so fucking tough. She has the heart of a lion. I mean, we know the story basically. I mean, you brought up the Amanda Nunes win. She beat her, which was almost a decade ago at this point, but she beat her.
That's wild.
I know. It kind of fucks me up. But she beat her by walking through the Fury and standing in there and not backing down and walking forward. She's going to have to do the same thing here, man. She's going to have to walk forward, get in the clinch, try and get her down to the ground. And, I think she's done it the right way. She's been fighting at 145 for, 2 or 3 years now. She did not just come up from 135 for this fight, She built her body for the weight class. She's very strong there. We've seen that, and she's had the big grappling advantage. But I don't think it's going to matter. I think Chris Cyborg's been training her hands too, man. I mean, she looks sharp.
They're sharp.
They're real sharp right now in some of those boxing matches, dude. So I think she's probably going to win in a big fashion. I'm fully expecting Chris Cyborg to get a massive win on Saturday. So. Yeah, I mean, look, I think Kat Zingano's going to have moments of success. I'm a big Kat fan, too. Like, let me just be very clear. Like, I love me some Kat Zingano. And I think there's going to be moments where maybe she can get a takedown. Maybe she'll be able to press her to the fence, work for the body, do certain things here and there that'll go ahead and play dividends. But I don't think it's going to matter enough in the end to pull off the win. So, that's about how I feel about it. That being said, man, we do got one more title fight on the Bellator 300 main card. And it's women's flyweights. This one you can kind of tell this is a bit of gimme title shot.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, Liz Carmouche, been champion. She won the title controversially against Juliana Velasquez back in last April, excuse me. But since then, she's racked up a couple of big wins. Deanna Bennett, Juliana Velasquez, neither one of those were controversial. She will now take on former champion Ilima-Lei Macfarlane, and we're talking about the end of Bellator. Ilima-Lei Macfarlane will probably go down as one of Bellator's homegrown stars, I feel like, Mm-hmm. She's been very upfront about the fact that this might be her retirement fight. She last beat Conor Watanabe by split decision. That was a very controversial fight. Prior to that, she beat Bruna Ellen by unanimous decision. She missed weight for that one, too. And prior to that, she had lost 2 fights badly. She's taken the time. She's healed up. We know that she's had a lot of neck issues. Will Ilima-Lei Macfarlane be able to pull off the upset? These two used to train with each other as well, I believe. So there's a bit of a backstory there. What do you think about this one, man? I
mean, I think that the fact that they train makes the fight interesting at one point. That's another reason I kind of have an issue with this fight is they're friends. From what I know, they're actually really close friends, which, when friends fight, we've seen what can happen, Josh, Mm-hmm. So that's definitely a thing that could potentially affect the fight. I don't know if it will or won't, but it's something to think about. And obviously you addressed her injuries. Look, if she comes in, she's healthy, the friendship thing doesn't get in the way, I think this matchup could actually be very hyper competitive.
Mm-hmm. Interesting. I gotta be honest, dude. This could be competitive. I think this fight would be competitive if it happened in 2020. But I really do think Ilima-Lei, I think she's probably not letting on how bad her neck truly is.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's probably something to do with it. That's probably why I think this fight's not going to be very close. I think Liz Carmouche is going to smash her, if I'm being honest. I've been very impressed with Liz's Bellator run. So, but yeah, like you said, they are teammates. So, weirder things have happened for 2 teammates to go out there and basically just have a staring contest. That is correct. So yeah, man. I mean, that's about how I feel about it. I mean, I think Liz Carmouche should go out there and get a big win. I mean, we know that Limale is very, very tough, and she might have some moments. And I expect this fight will be fought on the ground, and maybe she'll be able to maybe she'll throw up a couple of submission attempts or something like that. She's not bad off her back, but yeah, I'm gonna take Liz Carmouche to go ahead and get the win here. Regardless, looking at the rest of the Bellator 300 card, like I said, there's a couple of good names. There's a couple of names. What fights are you most excited for? We're taking a look at those YouTube prelims.
Those YouTube prelims.
Yeah.
I don't know if that's a good or bad thing to call them.
I'm just saying.
I mean, they are that, but you know.
That's my way of just letting people know in case they don't know that they're going to be on YouTube. So, yeah.
Good man. Oh, I agree. I mean, dude, Yags. I mean, I think ever since he's come into Bellator, he's been an entertaining guy. I think all of his fights have been pretty good. I don't feel like he's had a bad fight. Even when he's lost, I think have been good. I mean, that Carlo Brixton fight, fucking banger. Definitely, it was one up there for fight of the year. I think it was, but it was definitely up there to be brought up, or at least a honorable mention. Davion Franklin, obviously, I bring him all the time. Heavyweight, comes out of Jackson Wink. You know, the story there. Like I said, I mention him all the time anytime he's on a Bellator card. I think those are my kind of two most look forward to fights. And obviously, Romero Cotton, Grant Neal. Underrated banger. Grant Neal kind of, for me, kind of came out of nowhere, but he got two big wins over two guys I did not expect. Christian Edwards and Carlo Brixton, and now he's here taking on Romero Cotton, who's been kind of a homegrown guy, was a college wrestler, got brought in, trains out of AKA, and did suffer his first loss against Dalton Rosa, but Dalton Rosa's a fucking dog.
Yeah. No, he is. He is a fucking dog, dude. So, yeah. You mentioned Yags. Huge Yags fan. I think we are the Yags stands. All right. I wish Bellator was more popular, so Yags had a bigger fan base. You know what I mean?
You can't tell me if Yags was in the UFC and had, like, let's say the same fights, but in the UFC he wouldn't get some love.
Yeah, I mean, the Corey Anderson, to be fair, he got smashed by Corey Anderson, but that Carl Albrechtsen fight was pretty entertaining from what I remember. The Rafael Carvalho fight was a fucking war. Like, Carvalho, I'm not a huge fan of. Still salty because of the man how it fights. It's been almost 10 years. Don't give a fuck, you know. But, you know, like, that fight with Rafael Carvalho, Yags versus Carvalho was a banger.
Wait, which fight?
Was Rafael Carvalho.
Yeah, but what fight are you still salty about, did you say?
Oh, so Carvalho, about a decade ago, fought Melvin Manhoff twice. And the first fight was the worst decision I'd ever seen. I still think it's the worst fight I've ever seen. Like, decision. I mean, he's up there as one of the worst fights ever, too. But I think, like, Carvalho won 2 rounds in that fight by, like, I don't even think he threw a punch. I'm curious if we can find the MMA decisions on this one.
That's the fun fact of the day. Let's get into it.
Yeah. Okay, so this was Bellator 155. Rafael Carvalho versus Melvin Manhoff. Not a single person scored it for him. And the most popular fan result was 50-45 Melvin Manhoff.
Jesus Christ.
I gave him all 5 rounds. It was a combination. It's probably the most infuriating. It's, you know, like, Angel, like, I gotta be honest. It's the most frustrating fight I've ever seen. It's the one that, like, just thinking about it now, I'm getting angry about it again. You know what I mean? Like,
you know what's crazy? He was another, like, Bellator kind of, for the most part, kind of homegrown talent. I mean, he got signed, like, you know, outside of the, you know, he was in some other promotions, kind of fought, you know, in smaller shows, and then made his jump to Bellator and had a pretty successful career there for a while.
Yeah. I mean, to be fair, the issue with Javier Carvalho and his title run is, like, you know, like, okay, so you look at it, you know, he beat Brandon Halsey. Brandon Halsey was a fun guy. He wasn't very good, but he was fun. You know, he had a lot of fun fights. He beat Melvin Manhoff in the worst decision I'd ever seen. I mean, Rafael Carvalho, Melvin Manhoff won. And not only that, I'm pretty sure he, like, it's been almost 10 years. Like, I'm pretty sure, like, he kicked him in the dick, and he eye poked him twice, too, and they never took a point.
Damn.
And, you know, like, and it was just a combination of being one of the worst fights I've ever seen. But Melvin Manhoff clearly winning that fight. I think he won every single round, and then they gave it to Rafael Carvalho. And then the next fight happens. They rematched, like, the next year, and it was another case. It was a close fight. I think he, like, kicked him in the dick in the 4th round, and then he knocked out Melvin with a head kick. And it was so depressing. And then he knocked out super old Alessio Sakara. So I don't like Rafael Carvalho, but, you know, like you said, he was good for a time, you know. To kind of bring it back in, I mean, Like I said, excited for Yags. I'm excited to go ahead and see Henry Corrales versus Kai Kamaka at featherweight. That is a banger. All right.
Let him know.
Let him know. Yeah. Sarah McMahon. Always a big fan of Sarah McMahon. Long time UFC, but she's been around the game forever, man. So you gotta go ahead and give her some love. Taking on Leah McCourt, who we know the story there. I mean, at one point not a hyped up prospect, but had more hope than I think we should have. I mean, started off 6-1, beat Nana Farrow, beat a couple of other good names, lost 2 of her last 3. We'll see if she can pick up a win here. Yeah, man, it's not that great of a card. Looking up and down it, like, the main card's great. Prelims are pretty meh. And I forgot to mention Davion Franklin, who, I'm a big fan of. I still think, like, if he would have gotten into the sport earlier, because that motherfucker is so athletic. And he's still only 29, so who knows? But,
so many people like that man, right?
Yeah. But he's so athletic. I would have loved to see him. You know,
you want me? I'm gonna throw in a little random one in here. There's
go
another
ahead.
one. Jenna Bishop, Josh. She's a Jiu-Jitsu world champion, primarily in the gi. She had a fight in Bellator already. I remember looking at her then, but I didn't pay too much attention to how she did. I remember she was like a big favorite too going into it, but she was fighting like some girl who's 9-4. She's 5-0 right now. Also, she came from the gi too, which going from gi to fighting MMA. It's not like she was doing, no gi-jitsu either, which that would have been a little different for me. She's finding a little bit of success. She is 37 though, which is kind of rough, and at flyweight. So, but women, can last longer, and she's had a pretty successful kind of jiu-jitsu career as a whole, done pretty well, ADCC, IBJJF, all these fucking other things all these grappling promotions and other kind of smaller tournaments. And she's made the transition over. She went straight into LFA, which, when everybody kind of knows about LFA, UFC kind of picked out a lot of fighters out of there, and she managed to get like 3 wins in a row, and Bellator was like, something, got to hop on this girl and get her in, and now she is. I think she got 4 wins at LFA, my bad. But just kind of someone kind of keeping out there, but I don't know how long it'll last, and she's taking on a Brazilian guy who's 11-7, so, I mean, you can only imagine, but we'll see how she does.
Well, that case, nice, dude. I mean, hey, I didn't expect you to go ahead and shout that one out, so that's a good call out, dude. Yeah, I mean, look, Bellator 300, like you said, Bellator 301's admittedly better, and maybe even better because they might add Ryan Bader versus Linton Vassell to it, so that would be pretty fucking sick if they can, but we will see, man. I mean, I'm excited for Bellator 300, the historic card. We're in the final months, years, days, who knows, of Bellator. Every event could be their last, so fucking you better tune in, so we'll see. How their card goes this weekend. Regardless, man, we're going to go ahead and move over to news. This is actually a bit of a recap. I mentioned at the top of the show. Canelo Alvarez returned to the ring on Saturday night for a historic fight with Jermell Charlo. This was the first time in boxing history when 2 male undisputed champions faced off. In the end, it wasn't even close. Nobody told Jermell that apparently it was a historic fight. Canelo didn't even have to leave first gear to go ahead and just easily coast to a unanimous decision win. He got a knockdown early in the fight. Like I said, didn't have to show anything too new, nothing too crazy. What did you think about the fight, man? I'd say it was very hyped up. I don't know if it lived up to the hype, but what did you think about it, man? And you are muted, by the way.
Oh, man. It was one-way traffic. It was one-way traffic. I mean, you could argue that Canelo won pretty much every round. I think on my scorecard, Charlo maybe 2 rounds. And like I said, you could even maybe argue only 1 or none. And like you said, we were talking a little bit about it in the viewing room. Like you said, it felt like Canelo didn't even have to go into second gear, or third gear, or fourth gear, or anything.
Mm.
I mean, he got the knockdown. At that point, I'm like, well, he just secured the win. Because once you get that first knockdown, man, it's just all pressure on the opponent to play catch up.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you're not wrong. I don't think I gave Charlo a round, not to be mean. I don't think I did though, off the top of my head. Look, man, it was a stellar performance from Canelo, but like I said, he did not even have to exit first gear. It was an incredibly easy one for him. He didn't show anything new. For me, I was really excited for this fight. I gotta be honest, I'm super disappointed in the outcome. The fact that Charlo didn't go for it. And the reality is, when you're fighting a guy like Canelo Alvarez, you kind of got to go for it. Now, granted, you might be like Caleb Plant, and you might get knocked the fuck out and go out on your shield. But man, like Charlo, I mean, I don't know. He wasn't. The way that I thought he was going to win this fight, like we didn't get super in depth in the preview, mostly because I didn't think there was any chance of him winning this fight. But I thought if he was going to win this fight, he's going to have to go ahead and stay on the outside, use combination punching, stay moving, so on and so forth. And to be fair, he stayed moving. He did not throw any combinations. It's just it was very much singular shots. And he's one of the greatest combination punchers down to 154 anyway. So it's just
he can never become the ring general, which was the issue. He never had a single round where he had Canelo going backwards. And honestly, I can't even remember where he made him make a step back. To be honest, it was always him going backwards, moving to the side rather than he was never able to reset to the center or anything like that. Really, maybe like a few times, but they were insignificant at that. He just had a lot of trouble, and I was just hoping. I'm like, dude, you got to circle out, you got to make it back to the center, make it a little messy for a second, and then maybe get something off, and he just couldn't.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, and that's exactly it, dude. I mean, if you're taking a look at like how are you going to beat Canelo Alvarez? Like, Angel, if I were to ask you, like, how are you going to beat Canelo Alvarez? You know, like, I'd say the first and foremost thing that you have to do as a boxer is you have to get his respect. And if you can't get his, and to be fair, like, there's times where it's like, sometimes, like, you know, for example, Caleb Plant, I brought him up earlier. Like, he kind of kept him off for the first couple of rounds through flash and using the jab, substance, moving. And, like, eventually he lost, right? But that was because he opened it up and he went for it, you know? Charlo did not go for it. He didn't sit down on anything either. He went out there and just, he was there, you know what I mean? He was just kind of there. Like, he didn't want to get knocked out. He did not want to be that guy who got flatlined. So he was just very
survival.
static. Yeah, it was survival. That was it. He didn't really go for it. He didn't try to win, and that's why I'm so disappointed. You know? And I saw a lot of people being like, oh, God, boxing. I saw a lot of people being like, oh, God, you know, another boxing match that sucked. And they were, like, trying to rip boxing. It's like, guys, I really don't think it's a boxing thing. I think it's, you know, I think it's a Jermell Charlo not throwing punches thing. But that's just me. Yeah, and that's all I got to say about it. In terms of what's next, man, maybe Terrence Crawford, who knows? Maybe it'll be, you know, Benavidez. Probably not Bivol, although he keeps on talking about it. I mean, who do you want to see Canelo Alvarez fight next after his win over Jermell Charlo?
Anybody, bro. Anybody. Especially because we won't get to see him until next year.
Yeah.
Yep.
That is true. What do you say? Cinco de Mayo, I believe?
Yes,
is his
sir.
target? Yeah.
Yep. So quite some while from now.
Yep. We will, we'll see, man. We'll see. I mean,
yeah, half a year.
I would love. Well, hold on. So, do you know about who David Benavidez is fighting next?
He got a fight announced. Oh my God, who was it? I saw it too not too long ago.
It's a banger of a pay-per-view, and I believe it's going down like on Thanksgiving weekend. You have David Benavidez taking on Demetrius Andrade in the main event.
That's what it is.
Yeah, so that's a banger. So maybe the winner of that, but also they have Jermall Charlo versus Jose Benavidez Jr. in the co-main event. So that's a fun little Thanksgiving card, which is going down. So yeah, I mean, both of those are legitimately options. So, both, like, the winners of both of those fights, I should mean, because Jose Benavidez won't be the first choice, but you know, Canelo likes a good story. I could see him picking Jose if he beats Jermall and then just beating up on him and then booking a fight with David. You know what I mean? Like, weirder things have happened, and he doesn't seem to really like David Benavidez for whatever reason. So, that's all I got to say about it.
Hey, and that's Demetrius Andrade's potential chance to have his come out party. You know what I mean? Like, finally take out the big name. I mean, he's taking out good guys in the division, but I mean, like, really take on someone of major relevance. Is like, yeah, Canelo, you can't run away from me now. Yeah,
I would not be surprised at all if he actually beats him. Like, I'm a huge Demetrius Andrade guy. So
he wanted that fight. He's been wanting it. He's got his chance at earning it right here.
Exactly. But dude, I mean, hey, we actually got a lot of boxing stuff to talk about this week. A fair bit of it, I guess I should say, because we talked about that, and now we also got, we finally got the announcement, man. For the better part of a year, we've talked about Tyson Fury not fighting Oleksandr Usyk for the better part of a year, and it really looked like he had no interest. He was talking about fighting John Jones. He said that I'm done with these fights. I'm only looking for money fights. I don't really care about fighting contenders or champions or whatever it is. Apparently, Angel, I hate to say it, Tyson Fury, he was fucking with us. He was goofing around. Tyson Fury, he's a big goof, you know. He was fucking with us the whole time. Because Tyson Fury versus Oleksandr Usyk is going to go down December 23rd from Saudi Arabia. Undisputed heavyweight championship fight. It'll crown the first undisputed heavyweight champion since Lennox Lewis in 2002.
Holy shit.
So, fucking history going down in Saudi Arabia. But here's the element, Angel. That obviously, you know.
Yeah.
We know about.
You let him know, Josh.
Francis Ngannou has the possibility to do the funniest fucking thing. It's just if Tyson, the only thing standing between the first undisputed heavyweight champion in over 20 years is fucking Francis Ngannou. And look, normally the odds are what they are, you know, but I know that the MMA gods are probably going to be using every ounce of their being to cause chaos later this month in Saudi Arabia, dude. What do you think about the fight announcement with Usyk, and what do you think about the situation with Ngannou, man?
Hey, man, he has an opportunity to make something that'll piss off all the boxing fans even more.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I think that'd be a pretty cool storyline if it did manage to happen. It's very unlikely, but hey, man, we're yet to see Dare to be great. And let's see, Fury still has to take care of business here in a few weeks, so nothing's set in stone yet, really, you know? I'm excited. I think this adds another element. To be perfectly honest, Josh, there's probably a little bit, MMA fans, boxing fans probably had some, you know, they were and weren't excited for Ngannou Fury, but I think this adds an element of interest now, knowing that, like, the immediate next fight for Fury is Usyk, and what if Ngannou comes in here and changes that up?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, exactly, dude. I mean, there's much more. I'm way more excited for this fight, Ngannou versus Fury, than I was before. You know, and they're probably going to have Usyk front row, too. You know what I mean? And you know what the funniest part about this is that, like, so hypothetically, like, so Ngannou can win this fight. Like, he can knock out Tyson Fury, but he won't win the title. The WBC heavyweight title is not on the line in that fight, Angel. Just the lineal title is. So hypothetically, you know, they can have a fucking Fury could still fight Usyk afterwards, but won't matter. Francis Ngannou is the real lineal heavyweight
champion of the world. Could you imagine? Yeah. With one pro boxing match.
Yeah, exactly, dude. I am.
It'd be the most G shit, dude. You just hope, right? Obviously, you can only hope. But we'll
yeah, I mean, look. Yeah, I mean, Usyk Fury was the fight I probably wanted to see most all year. Like, I am so excited for that one. I have no idea who's going to win. Everybody immediately thinks Tyson, and I get it because of Usyk's last fight. But it's like, hey, man, I don't know. Fury famously struggles with smaller guys, you know, so who knows? It's going to be an awesome fight. But at the same time, who even knows if we'll get there? He's got to fight Francis Ngannou. I mean, and granted, we've been very upfront about the fact that we don't think Francis Ngannou has much of a chance. But at the same time, you know, I'm praying to all the gods out there. You know, I'm fucking every single one that he can pull the upset entirely just for the memes. So that's what I'm hoping for.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, man. I mean, that's basically all I got to say about it. I mean, one last thing. I did like Francis's response. I did like Big Fran. I did like what he said on Twitter after the fight announcement. You know, he said, like, how he's going to be able to fight, you know, with that, the medical suspension he's going to have after he fights me. Yeah, and I'm like, all right, Francis. Okay, big man.
Let me tell you something even better, Josh. If Francis doesn't even beat Usyk, or beat Fury, not Usyk. If Francis doesn't even beat Fury, he could at least Stipe DC him, dude.
Yeah.
Dude, that's another fact. Look, that he might start the job for Usyk, and Usyk just has to finish it.
So, well, also, it is very bold of him to book it 2 months after.
That is very ballsy, dude. I don't care, like, who.
Because a cut can fuck it up in 2 months.
Cut, injury, you know, whatever. Holy shit, Francis is a little better than what I thought. Gotta really put the workhorse on this one. You know what I mean?
Yeah, exactly.
But there's a little element of risk.
And there is a significant element of risk, dude. I mean, it is It's going to be interesting, dude. It's going to be interesting. I think that basically everybody's already seen the sparring footage of Ngannou, and we kind of talked about it, about him. It was very light sparring. For what it's worth, I also saw some people being like, "Why is he training with Derek Chisora?" He's trained with not Derek Chisora, excuse me. Oh my God,
Carlos Takam.
Carlos Takam. Sorry, other name.
Gotcha.
Other C name, excuse me. Carlos Takam. They've trained together for a while, so that's partly why. Before he booked this fight with Fury. So that's part of it. I expect that Ngannou's taking his preparation seriously. And, hey man, the shit talk, everything is more exciting now that Tyson Fury has signed this fight. So, I'm looking forward to it, man. Very thrilled. So happy they got the deal done. Excited to see both these guys get paid too, man. Tyson Fury is going to clear a shit ton of money. His 2023 is going to be crazy. Pay a lot of taxes, so. Good luck with him on that. But anyway, right. And speaking of exciting fights, man, there's no other way to describe this than holy shit. Cedric Doumbe, who we've talked about on the show before, was supposed to fight for the UFC, but he had some issues with the French Athletic Commission, and he couldn't fight his first fight, so they released him. He headed to the PFL in his first fight against Jordan Zebo, PFL Europe 3, going down in his home country of France. He walks out with the mattress that says Bon Louis Jordan, and he goes out and he fucking kills him in 9 seconds. He brought out the mattress angel and he put him to sleep, okay? And he did it in front of fucking Mbappe. He did it in front of multiple famous soccer players who I admittedly don't know. I mean, it was a crazy night, France
was popping.
France was popping, man. God damn. What do you think about Cedric Doumbe, dude? I mean, what a performance.
I had no idea. His fans were this excited for him. I didn't know how many fans he had. Because he had that arena going, man. If I told you that was a UFC fight night in France, and that was the people there, you would have believed it. But no, this was the PFL Europe. And dude, he was the main event, not even being in the European kind of tournament thing they're doing too. And he had that crowd going, goes out there, takes care of business to an exciting fashion, which gives him even the bigger pop. You saw the stardom right then and there. It was pretty impressive for only having 4 professional fights as far as MMA. That's not including his kickboxing, way more in kickboxing. I think over 80 in kickboxing. That was impressive. That was super typical.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, dude. Look, we knew Cedric Doumbe was good because you and I know a little bit of a story, I like to watch some kickboxing when I can, and I know you do too, but obviously we haven't seen everything. We know this guy was a very good kickboxer, one of the pound for pound best in glory, and we know that, his whole debacle with the UFC, and I saw a lot of people blaming the UFC. To be fair, it's not entirely the UFC's fault. But they did release him. And after he had issues getting cleared to fight on Darion Weeks, because I guess the French Athletic Commission has some weird rules or whatever, and they released him, and he was asked about it, and he was like, yeah, they fucked up. They fucked up, and they know they fucked up, because that was a night, and that was a performance that, you're watching that, and you're seeing his connection with the crowd, his connection with the people. And it felt like it was a big fight feel that I feel like no other company but the UFC has had for a very long time. We'll talk about Bellator, but even whenever I'm watching Bellator, it doesn't feel like what I'm watching is that important. You know what I mean?
There's only been very probably limited moments. I think the one that I remember that really stuck with me was first AJ McKee and Pitbull fight. That moment felt super heavy to me.
Yeah.
What was at stake, the hype, the attention, the media coverage, and I think even then that moment didn't receive as much. It could have been much bigger still. There was still something about it where I was like, holy fuck, there's some weight to this, and I feel it. I feel it in my shoulders,
Mm-hmm. Well, that's exactly it though. Is that fight was 3 years ago now, so
which is crazy.
Yeah, it is. It is pretty crazy, and to be fair, Bellator has tried, and so has PFL. They've also tried, and so have so many of these companies. They've tried a lot, but like watching Cedric Doumbe, I was watching him, and I'm like, oh, he's it. He's a star. He's that fucking guy.
He's him.
He's him. He is him. And PFL has needed a guy that is him. You know what I mean? Like, they've needed somebody. Because they have a lot of big names, but there's something exciting about getting in on the ground floor of something, and I think that's why Cedric Doumbe is going to be so popular. Because this guy only has 5 fights. You know, he's a former Glory guy. There's the backstory of the UFC, you know, signing him and then releasing him, and he didn't fight for them, and, you know, it's like there's so much going into it to where it's like, holy shit, you know, like, we're going to have some fucking fun, man. And Cedric Doumbe, and look, dude, like, he's already talking, and calling his shot, dude. Like, he said, like, you know, like, I'll fight any big free agents that are out there, like Masvidal wants to come over here, I'll fight him. I'll fight Anthony Pettis, you know, I want to fight some of these big names. I'll fight Nate Diaz, like, and I think Cedric Doumbe, the PFL knows that he has star potential. I mean, his knockout was being replayed, you know, in spaces that you don't expect to normally see MMA at. You know what I mean? Like, it was all over Sportsman, all over ESPN, and it happened on a night where there's no fights too, so that helped. But yeah, man, I mean, that's basically my closing thoughts. Any final thoughts on Cedric Doumbe in his star-making performance?
Epic.
No, that's it.
Yeah.
But, yeah, fair enough, man.
Keep it short and sweet, man.
Fair enough, man. Yeah. Next up, this is kind of just a continuation of a story we talked about last week, and we got to give her props. Angela Lee, was previously the current one, I believe, atomweight champion, has retired from the sport of MMA. We know the story with her sister, who took her own life tragically late last year, and it was confirmed last week that it was suicide. And also, Angela Lee talked about her own battles with mental health. And she's decided to retire. Not a whole big shock here. She's young enough to come back if she wants. But if this does end up holding, what do you think about the career of Angela Lee and her decision to retire?
I mean, she became a star in this promotion, man, and won. She had a lot of love, you saw even that fight week. She got pops even when she retired, and it was very real, man. It was, a lot of times people probably make fun of one and, you know, bring up the fact that maybe they're pumping some fake noise in there or something, but dude, like, all of that there was very, very real, and in the media and all that and all they did for her. Like you brought up, she's still young enough to potentially come back. If she doesn't, you know, it is what it is. It's sad because she's very entertaining, had a good fight style, had a long time left in her career still, and like I said, built this fan base in this other promotion that has a lot of potential and is still growing in and of itself. You know, very sadder situation. You saw she was embraced a lot that week by a lot of the fighters, even Stamp, obviously, you know, there was a lot of stuff between them specifically promotionally. Mm-hmm. And it was kind of nice that Stamp won this fight. Obviously, no disrespect to her opponent, but it was kind of like, okay, you know, the last fight that Angela had at this weight class was against Stamp, and it was close. She got hurt with a body shot in that fight and recovered, and came back in the next round and took care of business in that and the following round. And then Stamp comes out in this fight, ends the fight with body shots, followed up by ground and pound. And it was kind of like this kind of poetic moment. And then she receives the title, and then afterwards they kind of have this heartfelt moment in the back, and she asked to call her sister, and it was super emotional, man, and it was very nice to see. It was all a little too perfect, you know?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, man. I mean, it was a very emotional moment, obviously, with Stamp as well, you mentioned. And she obviously won the title, became the undisputed champion, I believe is the term. Because it was supposed to be the
3-sport champ.
3-sport champion as well. So we got to give her props on that. I believe that title was supposed to be originally for the interim title, and they told them like the morning of or the day before that it was for the undisputed.
Yeah.
Which was pretty sick, man. So yeah,
it was the appropriate thing to tell them, right? Because then they both knew, oh shit, we know what's on the line.
Yeah. Admittedly, I don't have a whole lot to say here. I mean, we kind of talked a little bit about this last week. Essentially that you know, like she was likely going to retire, and we kind of talked a lot about her own story, so I don't have a whole lot to say. But man, look, hell of a career. If she decides to come back, I'd be surprised, to be honest with you, but you know, weirder things have happened. She's young enough to where if she wants to, she can, but I do think her kind of focus on you know, mental health. I know that she's starting, I believe it's called Fight Story is the name of the company. That's essentially like, it's a way for fighters to talk about their own, you know, battles with mental health or anything really, what's on their mind, and to, you know, write about it or so on and so forth. So, yeah, shout out Fight Story, man, and Angela Lee and some of the stuff that she's doing over there. Hell of a career as well.
Like I said, it's all too perfect, man, because obviously Angela Lee exits as a star, and right in you get another guy who's a really big star in Stan Fairtex to kind of, I'm not going to say take the mantle, but kind of, you know, maybe help, you know, and add to what Angela did, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, for sure. Yeah, but I mean, admittedly, that's essentially all I got to say. And also, if you guys still have not read her Players, what's called the Players Tribune, I believe, her piece, excellent. So, yeah, go ahead and read that, as well as, you know, go ahead and check out Fight Story, man. I'm very intrigued to see what that's going to turn into be. So,
I hope it's big, right? Like, we all hope it's big, and we all hope it makes a difference. And
yeah, exactly.
Yeah, it's important for the fighters too, and hopefully, it's not just one fighters, but fighters from other promotions, smaller promotions too, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. But, and nonetheless, man, we'll go ahead and keep it moving. This is, I'm sure that, you know, everybody was saying that whenever clips came out of the inside of the Sphere, the Las Vegas Sphere, everybody in my circles were like, bro, imagine an MMA fight here. Dana White's already on it, folks. Dana White at the post-fight press conference last night said that for UFC Noche next year, obviously this year was main evented by Valentina Shevchenko and Alexa Grasso. Whenever it goes down next year, they're gonna be inside the fucking Sphere, man. Let's go, dude. What do you think about that, Angel? You trying to go down to the Sphere?
That'd be pretty cool. It'd be pretty fun, man. I think it'd be a fun experience. I'm curious to see what exactly the show would be like. I hope they do something outside of just being there. I hope they do something unique with the Sphere itself. You know.
Mm-hmm. I'm sure they will. Like, I fully expect them to. I mean, they got to do some fun stuff, man.
You would hope.
I mean, look, dude. I saw some of those clips, man, and of inside the Sphere and like all the lights and all the special pyro and stuff and CGI they were doing. I gotta say it. I really, really want to take an edible, code Soundoff at ELYXR.com, and just go inside the Sphere and chill for a little bit. You know what I mean? Just take way too much and just go chill. You know, sit in cage side watching John Jones when all of a sudden John Jones pops up on the Sphere background or something. You know, like just crazy. I'm sure they're gonna do some fun stuff. But you know, nonetheless, man, that's basically all I got. Speaking of Alexa Grasso, this is gonna be our last story of the day. Alexa Grasso, who did last fight Valentina Shevchenko, she, you know, almost a month later, she has confirmed that she actually broke her right hand in that fight. She got surgery, but after getting surgery, she also went ahead and confirmed that the trilogy is what she wants next. Give me your thoughts, man. Grasso, obviously, I'm assuming that she won't be out of action too long, but go ahead and give me your quick thoughts.
Interesting. I mean, she kind of dismissed the rematch last time, so it's kind of interesting to see her turn around on that comment and kind of look forward to it. Now, I wonder if that's because maybe some more money was on the table, or potentially because it'll be a UFC 300, you know, question mark there. But yeah, I mean, I was always down for the fight. I mean, we talked about it right afterwards. You know, we're like, yeah, I feel like they need to do the trilogy. This trilogy makes a lot of sense. There's unfinished business here. You know, it's arguably 1-1 in series, but it's 1-0-1.
Yeah.
So yeah, there's still something here, and obviously the injury's kind of unfortunate to slow it down, but at the same time, it's kind of like I said, could potentially set up for that fight to be on UFC 300. Not the main event, but I'm sure it'll be either the co-main or maybe potentially the third title fight on that card.
Yeah, you're not wrong. That's a really good placement for it too. Especially considering that Noche card was so huge, you know? Like they really did get a lot of excitement and a lot of attention after that one. So anyways, man, that's about all I got. In terms of my thoughts on it, I mean, I'm excited to see the trilogy. I'm surprised that she did, like you mentioned, take so fast of a U-turn kind of in the opposite direction. Because she originally said she wasn't going to do it. But I'm down to see it. I think it makes sense. Aaron Blanchfield already said, like, hey, look, I don't even want to fight for the title if that's the result of the title fight. It just doesn't make sense. So there's nobody else to realistically fight for it anyway. So, yeah, man. Excited to see the trilogy. Hope maybe at UFC 300. But, yeah, man, I mean, that's any closing things you want to go ahead and talk about? Any final messages to the Soundoff fans out there, Angel, before we go into
Man, I'm just so excited to get into this crazy October month of a lot of combat, a lot of great fights, a lot of stuff going down. I think this month, content-wise, is going to be super fun for you and me, super fun for all fight fans who watch all combat, not just MMA, boxing. Shit, I think even some kickboxing. I think Bada Hari's coming back this month.
He's coming back, yeah.
Or soon, something like that. I think, funny enough, Gordon Ryan won like a jiu-jitsu match, some tournament like this past weekend too. Like, there's a lot going on right now. So, I'm just excited to get right back into the mix. And obviously Bellator 300 going down this week. 3 title fights on the line. And, obviously the continuation of the 155-pound tournament there. Just some exciting shit going down. Obviously football, going on. The NBA about to start up here soon. It's all going down. Actually, the NBA already did start up, didn't it?
Yeah, I think they're already playing games, preseason games. So
something like that, yeah.
Yeah. And they already had media day and all that stuff too, so yeah, they're getting going. But anyways, man. Yeah, I mean that's basically all I got. Hope you guys enjoyed the show. I am at Josh Evanoff on Twitter. He's at Angel_Ortega_01 at Courtside Sound for all things relating to the show. We are available everywhere. We hit 1,200 subs. We appreciate that so much from all you guys. And yeah, feel free to keep on listening, guys. We appreciate it so much and all the support. Hope you guys enjoyed. Peace and butt grease. Mouse click.